Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a landmark UNESCO report that looks at a huge issue, the intersection of women, ethics, and artificial intelligence. And more importantly, it shows us how we might fix a system that, right now, is often stacked against them.
All right, let's just jump right in with the question that gets to the absolute core of this report. Is artificial intelligence, as a technology, sexist? While a major study of some widely used facial recognition systems gives us a pretty stark data-driven answer. When these systems looked at lighter-skinned males, the error rate was tiny, less than 1%. But for darker-skinned females, that error rate just explodes to an unbelievable 35%. And let's be clear, that isn't some small statistical quirk. That is a massive, fundamental failure in the technology. And this isn't just a one-off problem with a single piece of software. The UNESCO report argues that this kind of bias is a core feature of the AI system as it exists today. It's time to talk about AI's big gender problem. So what's the root cause here? According to the report, it all comes down to something called the participation gap. In simple terms, this means there's a huge underrepresentation of women in every single part of the AI ecosystem, from the research labs to development teams to the C-suite. Essentially, women are largely missing from the very rooms where AI is being invented and built. So let's dig into that idea a little more, this participation gap. The report uses this really powerful metaphor of a leaky pipeline. And when you see the numbers, you'll understand just how badly that pipeline is leaking. Let's start at the widest point of the funnel. If we look across all science and development research globally, women make up just 29% of researchers. So right from the get-go, we're starting with a pretty significant imbalance. But watch what happens when we zoom in on the universities that are actually doing the AI research. That number drops a lot. Suddenly, only 16% of the faculty members are women. You can already see the pipeline starting to spring some serious leaks. And this is where it gets really concentrated. When you look at the people in dedicated AI research jobs, the ones actually writing the code and building the models, the number just plummets. We're down to only 12% women. That's a staggering lack of representation right at the source of creation. So what about who's in charge? Who's making the big strategic calls? Well, in the boardrooms of AI startups, it's barely any better. Just 18% of C-suite leaders are women. Think about that. More than 4 out of 5 of the people steering the ship are men. So, okay, we've got this massive participation gap. So what? What's the real-world impact? Well, the direct consequence is that bias gets baked right into the technology. It's not an accident or an afterthought. It becomes part of the system's very foundation. And this bias isn't just one mistake. It can creep in at every single stage of an AI's life. It starts right at the design phase. If your team isn't diverse, it might not even occur to them to consider the needs of women. Then comes the data. The AI is trained on historical data that is already filled with existing societal biases. The algorithm? Well, it doesn't know any better. It just learns those biases and treats them like rules to follow. And the last step? That flawed bias system gets deployed to millions of people, creating real discrimination by default. And believe me, these are not just theoretical problems. The consequences are incredibly real, and they affect people every day. I mean, look at this. Amazon had to completely scrap a recruiting tool because it literally taught itself that resumes with the word women's on them were bad. Or think about voice assistants. They've been shown to be 70% more likely to understand a male voice. This isn't a small inconvenience. It creates actual barriers to getting a job, using basic technology, and even personal security. But here's the good news. It is not all doom and gloom. The best thing about this UNESCO report is that it doesn't just diagnose the problem. It offers a clear path forward for designing a much fairer AI. And it's built on 2 really powerful approaches. The call to action, which is put so well here by UNESCO's Gabriela Ramos, is that this has to be a collective effort. It's not a problem that one company or one group can fix alone. The whole goal is to use AI's power to close gender gaps, not make them even wider. So the report lays out these 2 big strategies that really have to work together. On one side, you've got ethics by design. This is all about fixing the technology from the inside out, embedding fairness and human rights right into the code from day one.
But on the other side, you have the gender transformative approach. This is about fixing the society that the tech is learning from, tackling the deep, structural causes of the inequality that AI just inherits. You really can't have one without the other.
Okay, so those are the big ideas. But how do we actually make them happen? How do we turn these high-level recommendations into reality? Well, the report gives us a concrete blueprint for that, too. And this blueprint for a fair AI is really practical. It's about, 1, putting money where it matters by funding and supporting AI companies that are actually led by women. 2, it's about accountability, making things like ethics audits mandatory to catch bias before a product is released. 3, it's about setting and actually monitoring clear diversity targets. And finally, and this is so crucial, it's about creating and enforcing zero-tolerance, harassment-free work environments. That way, women don't just enter the field, they can actually stay and thrive.
And this all leaves us with one final and I think incredibly important question. AI is going to write our future. There is no doubt about that. So the question we all have to ask ourselves is this: who do we want holding the pen? The message from this report is crystal clear. If we want that future to be a fair one, then everyone needs to have a hand in writing it.